That was last week. And of course, every Tuesday we're doing Remarkable Women. We've introduced you to a couple, so more of that to come. But tonight we have a special guest in studio with us from Safe Water Africa.
Yeah, we want to welcome Kelly McIntyre. Thank you for being here. She's with the nonprofit Safe Water Africa. And yeah, she's joining us to talk a little bit about what she does.
So welcome, Kelly.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, look, when I found out what the theme was for Safe Water Africa, I thought this is perfect. According to the United Nations, the theme this year is water and gender, and they say that it explores the critical relationship between water, women, and gender equality. What I love about Safe Water Africa is that you guys, it's like water equality is what you're focused on, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Why is that important? Tell us about the dangers and how many people around the globe don't have safe water to drink.
2.1 billion people do not have safe water. And that is, and the waterborne diseases that cause diarrhea that can kill you, that disproportionately affects children. So a child dies every 90 seconds from a waterborne disease. Every 90 seconds, a child 5 and under. So that's not a statistic. That is a tragedy. And our group was born out of a medical mission trip several years ago, 15-ish years ago. People who were on our board were part of it. They were going back every year, medical missions, same thing. You're treating the same diseases over and over and over. And one of our board members, she is a retired infertility specialist. So her whole career was using modern medicine to bring life into the world. Now all of a sudden, she's in a place where people are dying because of something as basic as unclean water. Yeah. And that was really what planted the seed for, we really need to find a way to prevent this from occurring in the first place.
And so we're just looking at the website on the things that you do. And I will say I have served with Safe Water Africa, and I know this work is, like you said, it really is life-saving what it does in community. But what you guys do is these chlorinators.
Yes.
Because, Carly, you're familiar. People will dig wells. You've heard of people going to Africa to build wells. But what Safe Water Africa does with these chlorinators, well, that's quite different. Tell us about those.
Yes. And so when our group finally said, we've got to prevent this, how are we going to do this? And the group found there is a company out of Louisville, Kentucky called WaterStep, and they have invented these portable chlorinators, which all of a sudden makes it cost-effective and relatively easy to clean water. So we partner with WaterStep, and we raise the funds through organizations, individuals, churches, people that we partner with. We raise the funds to purchase the chlorinators, and then we have an in-country partner, Joel Regano. Did you know Joel?
I know Joel.
Yes.
I know Wayne Hudson. I know a lot of these faces we see here, but absolutely.
Yes. So Joel moved to Birmingham 15-ish years ago to attend Bible college. When he finished, he moved back to Tanzania to begin his pastoral work. So Joel is our in-country, on-the-ground person who identifies the churches who need the clean water. And then we partner up with them and coordinate installing these systems. And it's quite remarkable. Just these chlorinators that we take over in luggage. Like, this isn't some big piece of equipment that has to be shipped on a freighter. We send it in a suitcase. And we can go and we set up this chlorinator, 500-gallon tanks, and within a few hours, dirty, contaminated, disease-ridden water is miraculously cleaned with nothing more than a car battery and table salt.
And we've just been looking at some of the pictures here from there, and what we see a lot of women in these pictures, a lot of women and a lot of children.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the role of women and gender and water in that area?
Absolutely. So it is the women and girls' jobs to collect water. And so it is common, it is normal for girls and women to walk miles every day, 10 miles, 12 miles, just to collect water. And that is their job, which means they don't go to school, they don't get educated, and so it just perpetuates this gender inequality. And it is why it is so important. If we can bring clean water to communities, then that opens up a whole new world for the girls and women in those communities.
There is, I think that what the United Nations says about it, which I found this, it almost looks like a poem, the way they have this on their website. And I wanted to just read some of it and get your response to it. And it simply says, the global water crisis affects everyone, but not equally. Where people lack safe drinking water and sanitation close to home, inequalities flourish, with women and girls bearing the brunt. They collect water, they manage water, they care for people made sick by unsafe water. They lose time, health, safety, and opportunities. And too often, the systems that govern water leave women and girls out of decision-making, leadership, funding, and representation. This makes the water crisis a women's crisis. That to me was, it just kind of stood out to me during this Women's History Month, and why I thought it would be great to bring you in to talk about that. What's your response when you hear that?
Well, like you said, we're fortunate. We live in the United States. We live in Alabama, and y'all, shockingly, Alabama ranks number 4 in clean water in the country. So we have amazing water here. It is not something that we have to think about on a daily, weekly. We never have to think about it. Our daughters don't collect water. Our loved ones aren't dying from waterborne diseases. So it is huge for us to be able to go into these communities, and not only for the humanitarian and the health improvements, but the educational component for the women and girls.
So out of curiosity, for people to get involved, because I think that's really the goal of what you guys have been doing. Tell us about this local team, this mighty little team that's been doing this work. I do have some pictures of them, but how people here can get involved.
Yes, well, safewaterafrica.com is our website, but our team, it's a board, an all-volunteer board. There are 10 of us, and this little grassroots nonprofit, in the past 15 years, we have brought clean water to 100 communities across all 26 provinces in Tanzania. And we do that by partnering with churches, with organizations, with individuals or families, basically anybody who would like to help bring clean water to Tanzania. We would welcome their support. We have people who give $10 a month on a recurring basis, and we appreciate every one of those recurring donations. At the other extreme, we have people who will go in and sponsor an entire community, and we call those memorial or legacy projects. So somebody will go in, it's $5,000, but for $5,000, you are bringing clean water to an entire community. And those, the organizations or the individuals who sponsor those, they have these beautiful plaques that are displayed, and you can do it in honor of somebody or a legacy reason, but it is, I cannot think of a better way to honor the people you love than by sponsoring a clean water project. And we have everything in between, between $10 and $5,000.
And we do have some of those images as well on your website. The website is pretty cool because you can see really that work that's taking place in Tanzania and how this really is a ministry.
Absolutely, and in fact, I'm so glad you said that. We bring clean water, but we do this very strategically. We partner with churches, so all of our clean water installations are set on church properties, but they're available to the community. You don't have to be a member of that church, but when people come to get their clean water, they also have access to the living water of the gospel. And that is why we partner with churches in this effort.
That is a perfect place for us to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll learn a little bit more about you, Kelly, and Safe Water Africa, and again, certainly how people in our community can get involved ahead of World Water Day, which is on March 22nd. We'll be right back.
Watching CBS 42 Plus, 42 Plus Evenings.
Welcome back. Our guest on this Women's History Month is Kelly McIntyre with Safe Water Africa, here to talk about World Water Day, which is March 22nd. Thank you so much for joining us.
We've been talking about some of the work that you're involved with bringing clean, safe drinking water to these communities. You recently wrote an essay for Over the Mountain Journal. It was titled "The Day the Water Came, Life-Saving Work in Tanzania." What is that like, the day that people get to see that clean water coming out?
Right. It is overwhelming. It is overwhelming for everybody involved because now all of a sudden, what they see in front of them is health and life. And it's for the people who are fortunate enough to be there, it is just a very overwhelming experience. And that article, that essay that I wrote, wrapped up with this beautiful quote from a pastor sharing about how it changed his community's life. And he wraps up by saying, this is a basic human right. And he is absolutely right. It is.
And so as we see the pictures, we see the women, your story, Kelly, I think is pretty cool too, because your family, you are the creators of Waterborne passports, and this in and of itself I think is really, really cool. You traveled the world with your two daughters. We did. When they were in middle school, and then again when the youngest one was in high school, we did 2 family sabbaticals, but we pulled them out of middle school and we traveled around a DIY journey around the world, 5 months. And when I don't think fancy like resorts and tours and all this, we're talking street food, hostels, public transportation. It was legit travel. And the book is called The Passport Project, that you've written about the experience. What I was curious about for us is how that experience, like which informed the other? Were you doing the passports first and then you ended up in Tanzania? Tell me about that. Right. So we as a family have always just had a passion for international adventures, but as we've gone on these just broad adventures, we always look for a way to make a difference along the way. We would like to think that when we visit a place that it's a little better when we left. And not anything big and grand, but we do try to just be very conscientious travelers. And when we met Wayne Hudson, who is now the president of Safe Water Africa, we met at church. And Wayne and his wife Sue, and my husband and I, Dale, we immediately bonded because we have this mutual passion for international adventures and making a difference along the way. So it did not take Wayne long to convince us to join the Safe Water Africa cause. And from that, we talked about the number of wells, but what is really nice, I think, is for people here who want to be a part of a global impact. This little mighty organization is really doing something on a global scale. How would you encourage other people to get involved? Oh, well, my favorite thing, and this is one of the biggest selling points on my husband and I getting involved, is that the small board, we fund all overhead admin out of pocket, which means for everybody who donates to Safe Water Africa, every single dollar goes to providing clean water. There's no overhead, there's no marketing, it is just clean water. And that is a powerful story, to have just this little nonprofit with no fat in it. And so when you give to Safe Water, you are giving clean water to a community. And there's so much happening on the globe right now. You think about those communities that really do sort of struggle. Often they bear the brunt. What are your concerns right now for people in places like Tanzania? Well, it's so hard for us to wrap our head around the water crisis because we don't live it. And I think it is our responsibility as humanity to help out situate. This is a human right to have access to water, and if we can help provide that, then I feel like we should do that. And if you've been looking at some of the pictures and the smiles of the children over there, because it's so transformative, I think, to have something like that.
Right.
You know, clean water, safe water that you don't have to worry about drinking.
Right. Right. And all of a sudden you're healthy. You're not managing disease. Now all of a sudden you economically you can work or you can go to school. I mean your entire world opens up with something as simple as safe water.
Very important work. I'm like, there's so many questions, but I saw the time. We're almost out of time.
We are literally almost out of time. Any closing words, Kelly?
We would appreciate partnering with your pickleball club or your book club or your team or your sports group or your small group or your church. We would just love your support.
So they can go to Safe Water Africa, get the info, stay in touch. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming. This was fun.
Thank you so much. This was
right.
great.
You guys have a good night. We'll see you at 10.